She was the goddess of death, stopped only by the end of all things. But in one timeline, Ragnarok failed. What happens when Hela gets her crown and her empire? In this shattered reality, the Revengers' desperate gamble on the Bifrost Bridge was not a victory, but a eulogy. Their plan to resurrect Surtur and fulfill the prophecy of destruction was a flicker of hope extinguished in an instant. Here, there was no god of thunder to summon the heavens, no master of mischief to conjure a final, saving trick. There was only the cold, unyielding advance of the goddess of death, Hela, firstborn of Odin, her power surging with every moment she stood on Asgardian soil, met their defiance not with a battle, but with an execution. The clash was brutal and blessedly brief. The Revengers, a collection of would-be saviors, a broken king, a redeemed rogue, and a lost warrior fought with the courage of the doomed. Valkyrie's charge, once the stuff of legend, ended with a whisper as a blade of obsidian night sprouted from her heart. Loki, whose illusions had danced on the edge of catastrophe 1,000 times, found no escape from a fate he had long cheated. His final breath was a choked gasp, his silver tongue silenced forever. And Thor, the mighty Avenger, the god of thunder, who had faced down gods and monsters alike, was brought to his knees. He looked upon his sister, not with fear, but with a profound, cosmic sorrow for the world he had failed to save. Her Necros words, born from the very essence of her being, pierced his flesh, extinguishing the lightning in his veins and the light of hope in the 9 realms. On the glittering rainbow bridge, stained black with the blood of heroes, Hela stood alone, the last of Odin's children. The Revengers were dead. Asgard was hers. With her claim sealed in blood, Hela ascended to the throne that was her birthright. The golden halls of Asgard, once echoing with boisterous feasts and tales of valor, fell into a sepulchral silence. But this was not the quiet of peace. It was the stillness of the tomb, awaiting its master's command. Hela, draped in shadows and radiating a malevolent, green-tinged power, did not seek to rule the living. She sought to command the dead. With a gesture, a wave of necromagic, black as the void and glowing with emerald corruption, swept through the city, through the hallowed halls of the honored dead, and deep into the sacred burial grounds. The quiet was broken by the groaning of stone and the cracking of bone. Her ancient army, the Einherjar, who had carved Odin's original empire from the cosmos, clawed their way from the dust of ages. Their spectral eyes, burning with cold green fire, opened once more. The Berserkers, legions of undead soldiers who had once terrified galaxies, answered her call, their loyalty absolute, their purpose singular, to serve their queen. But Hela's ambition did not end with the ghosts of her past. Why settle for an ancient army when a new one lay at her feet? The very Asgardians who had fallen defending their home against her the loyal. The brave, the innocent, were not granted the peace of Valhalla. A dark power seeped into their fresh graves, a vile perversion of life. Their bodies, once vibrant and proud, were twisted into grotesque parodies, their skin turning ashen, their eyes glowing with the same unholy light as her long-dead legions. Husbands rose to stand beside the reanimated corpses of wives they had died trying to protect. The warriors 3, once symbols of Asgardian honor, were now little more than puppets dangling from her necrotic strings. Asgard was reborn, not as the golden realm of legend, but as a gothic necropolis, a black hand-green empire of death. The spires of the palace twisted into jagged, skeletal fingers clawing at a perpetually twilight sky. The eternal flame, once a symbol of Asgard's life force, now burned with a chilling verdant glow, fueling her dominion over the deceased. Asgard was no longer a kingdom. It was a monument to her power, a fortress of the damned. From her new throne of bone and blackened gold, Hela's gaze turned outward, beyond the shores of her island kingdom. The Bifrost, the jewel of Odin's reign and the key to his control over the 9 realms, was now hers to command. It was not a tool for protection or diplomacy. It was a weapon of conquest. A dark, corrupted energy pulsed through the observatory, the rainbow of its being warped into a sickly spectrum of black and poisonous green. With Heimdall's reanimated corpse standing silent, eternal vigil, Hela unleashed her legions. Thus began the 5-year conquest, a galactic campaign of terror that would make her father's ancient wars seem like mere skirmishes. The 9 realms, leaderless and unprepared, fell one by one. Vanaheim, the vibrant world of the Vanya, was smothered in shadow. Alfheim, the land of the Light Elves, was plunged into an endless night from which no dawn would break. Muspelheim, the realm of fire, saw its flames choked by legions of the unburning dead. Hela did not just conquer, she remade. Each realm she touched was absorbed into her growing necromantic empire, its life force siphoned to fuel her ever-expanding armies. Her power grew with each fallen world, and with it, her ambition. She reached into the depths of her own magic and memory, resurrecting her most terrifying creations. Fenris, the great wolf who had once fought beside her, was brought back not as a creature of flesh and blood, but as a colossus of shadow and bone, its howl a death knell that echoed across the stars. Her berserker army swelled with the dead of 9 worlds, an unstoppable tide of undeath. And now, after 5 years of relentless conquest, her cold, dead eyes finally settled on the last realm of consequence. The defiant little world that had so often meddled in the affairs of gods, Midgard. Earth was next on her list, its vibrant life a banquet waiting to be consumed. But as Hela prepared her final conquest, another power, ancient and inexorable, was moving through the cosmos. On the bridge of his warship, the Asterisk Sanctuary to Asterisk Thanos, the Mad Titan watched the threads of destiny converge. His quest for the Infinity Stones, his great and terrible plan for salvation, had led him here, to the fractured kingdom of Asgard, where the Tesseract, the Space Stone, was kept. He had anticipated a realm in chaos, a broken people mourning a dead king, ripe for the taking. He expected to stride through ruins and pluck the stone from a vault defended by ghosts and memories. Instead, the Bifrost opened before his ship, and what he found was not a broken kingdom, but a bastion of terrifying power. He found a galaxy-spanning empire, ruled not by a grieving regent, but by a chillingly familiar figure, the goddess of death herself. The Titan arrived on the blackened shores of Asgard to find an empire that mirrored his own in its brutality, yet opposed it in its very nature. Where he sought to bring balance through erasure, she sought to bring dominion through undead. Hela, standing on the steps of her corrupted palace, flanked by her undead generals and the colossal form of Fenris, regarded the newcomer with a predator's curiosity. She held the Tesseract in her hand, its blue light a stark contrast to the venomous green of her own power. Thanos, clad in his golden armor, the infinity gauntlet on his fist already bearing the Power Stone, saw not a mere obstacle, but a rival, a queen who would not kneel, a tyrant who would not yield. He had come for a stone, but he had found a war. This was not a negotiation. It was a collision of cosmic wills, the beginning of a conflict that would burn galaxies and drown stars in blood. The war of the two tyrants had begun, a cataclysmic struggle between the Mad Titan who sought to command the end of all life, and the Death Goddess who sought to rule over it forever. The universe, caught between them, could only scream.